everyone, Joshua Hanlon here at Bricks Cascade 2019, and I'm joined once again this year by Boone Langston, who many of you know from his numerous wonderful videos on Beyond the Brick. So we're going to be giving you a complete tour of the Bricks Cascade convention floor here and do our best to talk about the builds and show all of them.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joshua. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is my home convention, so I'm excited to share it with all of you. We're going to start here with a giant build, the instrument of Scorpulon. Is that? Yeah, I said it right.
That's it, yeah.
I couldn't. It's a G, SG. The instrument of Scorpulon. This is by Jonathan Walker. He always brings some really awesome giant spaceships each year. Always uses a lot of really interesting brick bending techniques, and this one's brand new from Jonathan.
Mm-hmm. And we featured Jonathan's builds from past Bricks Cascade shows, and yeah, they're just incredible. So definitely check his past stuff out on the channel if you haven't, because as you can see from this build and then the next one we're going to show you here, which actually isn't by him, but is another really cool ship. This is the Odysseus, which I believe we did have a video on last year as well, so you can check this out as well. But some fine examples of spaceships there.
Yeah, and this is Jeff's model. He is the president of Bricks Cascade, so it's fun to see the guy at the top of the organization also submitting a really, really compelling build.
Mm-hmm. We should mention the Ice Planet build real quick in between those, because that's the snow with like the little lava pieces in there is very nice. It reminds me of the game at the Lego house where you have to unfreeze the minifigs and help save
the mammoths.
Yeah, save the mammoths.
There's some I like that. He's sort of generated this crack in the earth there, and it almost looks like lava, and there's lights on the inside. I think using that transparent neon orange that is pretty unique. Well, I guess they brought it back with Nexonites, but was sort of iconically original to the ice planet.
Behind that there's no mock card, so I'm going to I think that's just a Star Wars ship.
This is Star Trek. Did you do that on purpose? Yeah, we got the Enterprise A and a Klingon bird of prey there.
There you go. I knew you know what you're talking about. I like the cannon on this one up top, and all of the like golden missiles. It looks like the heavily armored. I appreciate that. The more guns, the better. Also, I like how Jeff, I think both of his builds, he kind of had the stands there, which I think presents the builds very nicely. Spaceships always look cool when they actually have that nice presentation to them. And then what do we have here? A whole bunch of, these are like much smaller spaceships compared to those other ones.
Yeah, so he's got some multiple scales here. So this whole front table is all from one builder, Nathan DeCastro, and obviously a lot of sci-fi builds here. Yeah, I believe this is his first convention, so he's brought a lot of neat little builds to his very first convention.
I've talked to a number of builders already at the convention just today that have said it's their first one, which I think is really cool because that shows, community continuing to grow. Also, shout out on that one John's showing, I think, is that the Rock Raiders like shovel piece there, the big black shovel piece?
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. This next one is Green Slime. This is by Christy Dittmer. She, I believe, attended Bricks Cascade for the first time last year, and she just got so excited seeing, all the wonderful mocks, and she kind of, I think, fell in love with space. And I believe she told me that she's inspired by what she sees on Beyond the Brick, and so she came back here with what I think is a really wonderful build incorporating monorail, of course, and got a lot of green slime there. And I really appreciate when people do something creative to incorporate the name of their mock in the build. And it reminds me of like a movie poster or something like that, where you see the action going on and you also see this text that kind of represents the brand of this build.
Mm-hmm. And that like trans neon green color is just so cool, and it pops so much that incorporating that into any build is awesome. Next to that, we've got some other rather colorful builds here.
These are a few things from Blair Archer, particularly this one with purple and pink and those colors. I've been watching his Instagram for a while, kind of following him, collecting these pieces, and it's really interesting to see it come together here. And so this is a mech that I believe actually transforms into a spaceship. So
of course it does, because why not? And then it looks like next to that is a bunch of builds by Caleb here. So kind of series of figures. I like the green and purple there. I think using some Bionicle pieces. That's always neat. We got some mechs next to that. There's a giant disclaimer about something there. I don't know what that is, but it's like a massive paragraph of tiny text. Is that like a legitimate?
Both Transformers and Mecha are giant robots. So they're making a distinction, I think, between Mecha and Transformers.
Okay.
And saying that perhaps to the very well-informed might be disturbed by the fact that Transformers are in Mecha, although to the rest of us it seems perfectly logical.
Gotta get technical about it. There's like I like the one with the like airplane piece on the front. And there's like a whole car in the back. The red, or the white and green one there. They've got the entire car on the back of it there.
Oh yeah, and those show how I remember seeing these at BrickCon. They've got the diagrams out in front that show how they transform. Mm-hmm. So that actually turns into, it turns from a mech into a helicopter or some sort of helicarrier there. We're moving on. This is a section called, what was it called? I think Mod Your Mech. Thank you very much. It was Mod Your Mech. So this was the theme collaboration for Mecha, and Lige put out, some instructions on exactly what guidelines you had to follow. And so basically all of these are built on the same mech structure, and then they, took their liberties artistically to turn them into the characters that you see here. So one of these will win a trophy for the best Mod Your Mech.
Mm-hmm. There are some really cool trophies at the show. We should swing across in a minute here across the aisle and show some of those, because there's some very creative like trophy builds that are handed out in addition to the really cool builds that win them here.
Yeah, right now John's got the camera on Mark Crookshank's builds, mechs here that are inspired by the Lego Movie 2. Mark last year at this show had the massive city mech division, and he's just cranking out mechs all the time. And I think the other night, like it was probably last week, he just kind of sent us some pictures like, okay, here I built Emmett's, and then a couple hours later, like, here I built Benny's, and then like a few hours later, here I built Rex's, and we're like, okay, there you go. He just kind of...
We get it, Mark. You're talented, okay.
Mech factory, yeah.
Yeah, the City Mech division is a really cool build, and we have a video from that last year. If people want to check it out, definitely look for that on the channel. These next couple builds are really neat with the large the Plague Mech on the right there. It's like a centipede, and then the T-Rex on the left.
When I looked at these, I really was just struck by, particularly that three-wheeled centipede thing is just looks so original to me. And it struck me. And then the T-Rex looks very alive. The way he incorporated all those segments moving back and forth. Not actively moving, but the way they just curve around and you see that body of the T-Rex like about to attack in this kind of robot form. Very compelling, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Great use of the Nexo Knight stuff there. These are, a bunch of Transformers, I think? We'll go with that. And then coming on down here, we've got a couple of very large builds. So some of the biggest builds at the show. First, I think we need to start with this little layout right here, this display, and then pan up to the larger builds.
Yeah, so I think Perry drew that as seen on Beyond the Brick thing. So, of course, we made a video with Ninjago Rolling City at BrickCon in the fall. And here it is again. He's brought it back. The interesting story about this is it's so heavy and it's sitting in the middle of a folding table. So it was actually crushing this table earlier this morning. And Mark had to take the whole, he put the whole thing together yesterday. And he had to take it all apart and put in a piece of plywood to support the build on top of the table. And now it's put back together as if it had never been disturbed.
Mm-hmm. So when Mark's not doing mechs, he just builds giant rolling cities like that. Very amazing. Next here we've got a giant collaborative layout that Boone, I think you had a part in. So if you want to give an overview of this.
Yeah. So when we saw the very first previews for the Lego Movie 2, we decided that we should make our Troutdale Build League collaborative a Apocalypse burg. So starting down at the end here where we are, we've got Brett Hooper built Emmett's house. And when it's operational, Emmett swings back and forth in the porch swing there. And, that's supposed to be sort of the lovely patch of green among the rest of the disarray. And then from there on, we had the previews of the set, so we knew that Emmett's house was going to have something to do with the movie, and of course it is obviously a significant part of the beginning of the movie. And then from there on, we just kind of thought about, okay, what kinds of things might be in Apocalypse Burg. So Perry built this incredible Benny's workshop, and one of my favorite things about this build, the lighting is fantastic, and the fact that he mounted Benny's spaceship on top of the building there, or on top of the junkyard, and he has replaced a bunch of the elements with, brown versions instead of gray, or, like sand green, or the army green instead of, the colors that it's supposed to be. And that's just kind of, show that it's weathering. It's the apocalypse.
Give that scrapped look, like they're pulling pieces from different places.
Yeah. The next piece here is, from about here up is primarily the official set. And from here down, Mark built this whole big pedestal and even extra sand green over there to make it look like Lady Liberty is extending down in here. So, man, I thought he just did a really fantastic job taking the official set and expanding it, to even more kind of crookshankness. It goes on to a gas station, and after the gas station is Metalbeard's workshop. This is still Mark. So basically, from Statue of Liberty to Metalbeard's workshop is Mark Crookshank's contribution to this this collaborative. And so the Metalbeard's workshop is really cool because it's got a little ship at the top, and when everything's on, these windmills are turning, and we got some really cool stuff here. And
we'll definitely do a more in-depth video, I think, with each individual builder, and you guys talking about this when it's all moving and stuff. So definitely kind of have that and dive more into each section.
Okay, so I'm already talking too much.
No, this is good overview.
Wayne Tower is mine. We can talk more about it tomorrow.
I think we at least need to touch on the movement in there, because you spent a lot of time and made sure to do some cool stuff with that.
Yeah, so this was my first experience with NXT Mindstorms, and I knew I wanted to make Batman move, and so that's kind of the first goal I tackled was working through the code and making sure it was going to work, and then I started putting bricks together. So this is Wayne Tower, and so he pops out down there at the bottom, moves around a little bit, and then he kind of disappears, and a little bit further up in the build, he walks across that sort of decaying part of the building there, and then at the very end he pops up at the top of the build here soon. There he goes, and he's got the "You're Welcome" sign from the Lego Movie 2.
That adds a lot to it, so thank you for taking us through that. That's very good.
Yeah, and these next vehicles here are an example of just this creative juices that started flowing when we announced this new post-apocalyptic theme. So this is a theme we have not had at the convention before, and this is Drew Quinn. He's actually the chairperson of our local lug. So he runs our lug meetings, and he heard about the post-apocalyptic theme, and he was like, all right, I'm going to do I think he did the Caterham first, and here he calls it the Slaterham. So I thought that was pretty good, like sleigh. And then he moved on to the Volkswagen bus. Actually, that was my Volkswagen bus, and we made a deal on that so that he could execute the Apocalypse Volkswagen bus. And then I think he just walked in today with the Mini Cooper. So he must have been working on. I want to say he bought it here yesterday and then took it home last night and built the set, and then tricked it out for Apocalypse. Mm-hmm. And then the next one, we've got Sam. He's got this really interesting, smaller than minifig scale version of some Mad Max stuff going on here. And I'm sure I'm sure if we run into Sam, he'll have a lot more to say about this because he's put a lot of really nice work and intention into these little vehicles
at a very small scale, which is impressive.
And Sam's dad. Sam's a teenager, and his dad has been here all weekend supporting Sam. It's been really fun to sit next to him and talk.
Next to that, we've got Perry, who we mentioned earlier was part of the bigger collab. Has his roller coaster here that's been taken over by the dinosaurs. So I don't think it's running right now, but he had it running earlier and it looked good. So hopefully it keeps up for the rest of the show.
Yeah, I think this must be like what Rex and all of the baby velociraptors are on the roller coaster. That's funny. Nice. Oh,
expanding my favorite theme at the convention.
I don't even know how to talk about this thing. This thing we started last year with Dopocalypse. Just an idea of like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we took this, bubbly, colorful kids theme and turned it into, the end of the world with. It seems to be that the formula is like if you've got giant wheels and Gatling guns, you've pretty much you've pretty much nailed the theme. So I believe we went from 4 participants in Dopocalypse last year to 13 this year. So an explosion of creativity in just 1 year.
I love it, and there's so many unique pieces here, and the way you use Duplo is just amazing. You think ways you never see it used before, and there's even like a burning cactus just in the middle of it all.
Yeah, we got the burning cactus. That was Perry's idea, and the flying circus there. I've had this idea for a while, so I had brick-linked the pirate sails, and I bought the bus and the elephant and the clowns and the ringleader at Bricks and Minifigs, but I didn't have time to build this before the convention. And then I got here yesterday morning and looked at all the amazing things other people had built. And I went home last night and said, I've got to bring this thing to life. So started putting bricks together late last night after the first day of setup ended. And luckily it came back today, and with a little bit of tweaking, it's running.
Yeah. Before John moves on real quick, we should definitely point out your very much customized theme sign up there for Apocalypse. So talk about that real quick.
Yeah, so some technical decisions were made to not print a this is not Steampunk, this is Post-apocalypse. So a Post-apocalypse poster, vinyl sign was not printed. And in lieu of it, Mark and Perry put together these signs with danger, keep out, and I think the sign that you can't see there, oh no, it's the one on the front. There is a sign there that, is printed. It says warning, post-apocalyptic theme, and it's got some other information there. And then the thing hanging over the pole where
I think is my favorite detail.
Yeah, where all the other theme posters are hanging, theirs is just a tattered, drape. Yeah, which I just think is fantastic. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, no, it is. I think not only were you creative with the builds, but also the way the whole theme is presented is fantastic. So then we get to a whole bunch of the other builders here. I love this like multi-layered builds, which is a kind of a common thing you see in post-apocalypse builds, because obviously there's a lot where like people have gone underground and things like that. So the multi-layer always adds like really nice dimensions to the build.
Yeah, I've seen some really wonderful builds in this way where, they get the opportunity as a builder to explore 2 completely different styles, right? Because above ground you've got this kind of generally dead, broken, barren kind of stuff, and below ground you've got sort of this little taste of thriving life, and so I think it's fun for builders to explore that.
In this layout here, this is like a traveling fish tank. A large aquarium on wheels.
That's a neat idea.
And then a plane crash through the Chili's. I like that.
What is with Chili's mocks? I've mentioned this before.
Oh, right.
There are so many Chili's mocks.
Last year there were like 3 or 4.
3 or 4 on the floor, and here this one's been destroyed.
It's probably someone's mock from last year that they destroyed.
Perhaps. I want to draw some attention to this next one. It's called Home Sweet Home, and Sue has been collecting broken pieces in a jar for a number of years, and she decided to use them all in this mock for Post-apocalyptic. So every single broken element that you see in this was not broken on purpose. She didn't intentionally break any Lego pieces for this mock. She's just been collecting pieces that were broken, by sort of children or dogs or whatever.
That's brilliant. So it's like all this very naturally. It's almost like an art piece, like taking all the stuff she's collected and making this build out of it. So I
think it's really something special, and it took a theme like this to, I think, for that idea to really come to life and have a wonderful, wonderful place.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, the exact opposite to that build behind it there, we have the very colorful Jurassic Park.
Park. Whoever came up with that, I want to know if this was Allie's idea or if something inspired it, because I think it's brilliant. Jurassic Park. It's hilarious. One of my favorites.
And then here we have Tron-inspired build, the Grid, which I believe we have done a video on in the past. Do you know if he's expanded it this year at all?
Man, it's hard for me to tell. I feel like it looks the same size as it was last year. There may be some action going. Well, I remember that guy being dead on the ground.
So I think it's pretty similar to how we've shown it in the past, but it is the black, really goes well with all of the neon colors. So it's a really impressive build. So now we switch over to Steampunk here, and so some of this will look familiar to past viewers from our Bricks Cascade tours, because some of the city stuff I know has been here in past years. There's a name for this city, and I can't remember. They have like a name for the collaborative steampunk layout.
Streets of Brass.
Is that what? Okay.
Is what's...
There we go. So this is a number of different builders that are involved here. You've got the train, like the big bell tower there, which I think is one of the cooler details. I think that's Ben Kahn's. That's always been one of my favorite buildings on the layout. And then this orange face building is pretty neat as well.
Yeah, I really like how they worked in the bright light orange in there. Just give a little contrast. That's a nice technique.
Mm-hmm. Few more steampunk builds here. The steam cycle to the left is with the ladder and the giant track wheel. Pretty sweet. Steam Express. I like the skeletons with the hats on, riding the train there. And then we've got the big Nautilus submarine, which we've covered in the past as well. And then if we keep coming down here, we've got, I think this moves us back into space, sort of where we started with this section.
I really like this build John's focusing on here. Will's shuttle bay from Star Trek. I just think on such a small scale, he's really captured these things in a really neat way. I mean, I can look at each one of those and tell exactly which series of Star Trek, kind of which generation of Star Trek it's from. I think they're really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Especially at such a small scale. If you can make it recognizable, that's impressive.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of those small ones, I mean, those are probably, this one, I would guess that's 20 to 30, 20 to 30 or less piece count there, to make something that is sort of like that recognizable. I think it's real cool. Oh, I'll talk about this. This was my build from the Technic challenge last night, and it's, I don't know, just some kind of speeder. And here's the play feature. And we had 40, you can 50 minutes or something.
Rock it back and forth for hours.
Yeah, yeah. Here we got Jason Ruff's 3x3x3 scale classic space stuff, which I just think is amazing.
I love that they've expanded on this theme. So this year, this ship over here is new, completely new to the layout, and they keep adding more stuff to it. And I think that's really neat because it's such a big, awesome world to explore there, just making all the classic space stuff so much bigger.
Yeah, and I just always like referencing, I think one of Jason's ideas or goals with this was to kind of experience what it was like to hold these models as a small child, to to take a set that he recognized. I think he started with his, one of his favorites down there, and now he's got it in, basically a scale that is as much larger as he is than he was when he was, a very small child.
It grows up with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. Also by Jason, you've got a couple more spaceships there. You can see the white and blue is definitely a favorite.
Yeah, I think the Galaxy. So this is the Galaxy. Well, this is the original Galaxy Commander. This is the 3 times Galaxy Commander, and then this is the Galaxy Czar. So I'm pretty sure that this is sort of a new take on this model. Very similar sort of layout.
Continuing the theme, sort of. We've got some of Christian Benito's little rovers here, which he was saying earlier is basically the goal is just to put as many wheels on as possible, and I think he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, when I saw him post this on Instagram or Facebook, I was blown away. I was like, that's such a brilliant use of that big, giant yellow Technic turntable piece or gear. It's got that inner gear. I love this. It's wonderful.
Pops up a lot in like GBC modules. You don't see it in this type of build very often.
No, it's really cool. It's the same element that Ryan Zagalo uses on the giant Batman vehicle rotisserie, but his are in black.
This the classic Space Fuel Center. I love that. That's a nice different take on like a gas station little diner thing there.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the gas station from the end of Spaceballs, but we've got it here in the classic space colors. That's nice.
James Dart with another little classic space layout here. The purple flowers there definitely stand out among all the wreckage.
Yeah, I also want to point out James's Blacktron build back there. I believe that also is sort of a refreshed version of an original Blacktron set, and just I think he's done a nice job. With it's in the workshop. They're working on it, taking it apart. Maybe since that's classic space colors, it actually makes me kind of wonder if are they helping the Blacktron? I guess there's a Blacktron. I thought maybe they had confiscated it and were taking it apart, but they're helping the Blacktron guy there.
And the last couple builds in this section, we've got a Lunar Rover, and then in the back, let's see, that build is called New Heights. So I guess it's like sort of like a space station thing going on there. Starts on Earth and then goes up to the space station.
Yeah, I think this is sort of illustrating like in orbit. So you see like the blue and then the darker blue and the black. And the little blue spaceship with the transparent yellow windscreen kind of give that little spaceship sort of, I guess, gives you an impression of the scale of how big that space station is intended to be there. Mm-hmm.
So that finishes out that whole rectangle section. So we'll move on to Town and Train. Before they kick us out here, if you can hear the announcements, so we'll see what more we can do before they close the hall for tonight and we pick back up tomorrow. Got a couple of roller coaster sections here. So this first section, I think, is all Ben Kahn's layout, right, with all of his rides?
Yeah, that's correct. I'm looking to see if there's anything new since last year, and I'm kind of not sure. Maybe what's that brown one over there? I think he's had that one. Really wonderful. I mean, one of the coolest things that he's got here is let's see. Had the roller coaster come out? Was the roller coaster released by Bricks Cascade last year? Anyway, he's taken, I think this roller coaster is like 2.5 copies worth of track. So it looks, visually like the official set, but it is much more, it's a much longer ride for the little roller coaster there. So it'll be fun to see this thing running.
And this is a very fitting layout for the theme this year for Bricks Cascade, which is it minifigs in motion? So it's all about kind of adding motion and things. So nothing's running right now, but when those are all up and running, they're all really impressive. Next to that, we have a massive. This is the Phoenix roller coaster that we posted a video about from last year's show. It's back again, and equally impressive this year. Massive roller coaster.
Yeah, the thing that impresses me about this is how long it was built ago. I don't know the specific numbers, but this thing was built. I'm gonna get this wrong. I'm just gonna go for it for the effect.
Dive in with confidence, Boone.
But so, it was built something like 10 or 12 years ago. It was displayed for a couple of years, and then it was put into storage for like 8 or 9 years or something like that. And then he pulled it out last year and displayed it again for the first time in many years here at Bricks Cascade. And then I saw it again at BrickCon, and now it's back here. So I mean, it's just really impressive what he was able to do with the elements that were available so long ago, and the fact that it was able to go in storage and now come back out, and kids love to watch this thing go around. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just absolutely massive. So when it's up and running, it's really impressive. Now we start more of the kind of traditional town and train, mostly a massive train layout here. So you can see we're like 10 tracks deep. You've got custom printing on some of this stuff, custom stickers and decals. Other of it is all just the Lego pieces, and I love the way that a lot of these achieve kind of the striping effect. So using pieces in a way that really gets that kind of iconic train striping down is always really nice. Lots of different kinds of trains from different eras in different parts of the country. So I think this is kind of where they camp them out, because they can only run so many on the 1 or 2 trains on the track at once. So they've got to have somewhere to store them. And then you've also got the Batman's Nemesis train here.
Yeah, this is by Brett Hooper. I got to point this out. Yeah, so we've got, the Penguin is in charge of the engine there, and then we've got sort of a Joker fun car there. We've got Mr. Freeze actually has Batman frozen there, and then Harley Quinn's caboose, which is red on the side opposite to us and black on this side. I think this is a real fun build.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Hopefully they're running that one around the track over the next couple days.
I don't know what this is. Oh,
I'm a little concerned what this is. I feel like we should keep moving.
I think they're canning horse.
It's a glue factory, it says.
Oh, is that what it says?
Wait, that's what this says.
Glue factory.
And petting zoo.
Look, we buy horses with a phone number. Oh, no.
And there's like kids paying to get in to like pet the horses. Wow. Okay.
Oh, boy.
We better move on from that. So this is a very large like docks layout basically. So I like the different slots for the boats to go in. You don't normally see like docks that well built out and kind of realistic like that.
Yeah, so this is something James Ritzman has been wanting to do for quite a while, a big marina. And he has, put together these pieces to build the marina as it is today, and he put out some information about a week ago or so, inviting anyone who wanted to build ships in minifig scale to put in the marina here. So we've got a bit of a impromptu collaboration going on.
Would a marina or like this type of scene, do you feel like that's associated with like Portland or Oregon in general, or like a Pacific Northwest thing inspired at all, or basically just something he's interested in?
I think it's probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
There's definitely parts of Portland is a port city we've got a very large river that goes directly out to the Pacific Ocean. I've seen pictures of James on a boat on Facebook, so I'm assuming this is, partially his interest and partially something that people identify with. I know, all over the West Coast, we've got people who are very interested in this kind of water sports. So,
got like a house building here, kind of a family getting their photo taken out front.
I really like the antenna on this house. If you look, they've used gray minifigure hands, and I think like the flex tubing to make those angled pieces. I don't know why that's the part of this model that sticks out to me, but I just think it's like really neat to think about the intention that they put into making that antenna. That who knows what, TV antenna or radio antenna on top of their house. That's cool.
We have the Clutch Brothers coffee there. Some custom decals.
So that's do you guys have Dutch Brothers where you're from?
I don't think we do. Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, so in this area we have these little drive-through coffee places called Dutch Brothers. And so of course James is making the Lego pun here, Clutch Brothers.
There we go. I like it. We got a French plaza, and then we have brick-built bridge to get over the gap between the tables, and we enter kind of the whole city, big skyscraper layout. I love this building right here. It's like a furniture shop, using those green slope pieces with the decorations on it, and then like the green like Western shutters. I really like the colors on that one. Fire station next to that. Speed shop in the back. And then some really nice like old brickwork on this other fire station right here, the one that says 1854, using lots of little plates stacked on top of each other to add a little detail there. There's a tour bus.
Right next to a brand store.
Oh, yeah. And some modulars here.
I feel like this big building behind the modulars that has sort of a, third, fourth story courtyard there. Something about this building really reminds me of Portland. I don't know if it's actually modeled after a Portland building or if maybe it just reminds me of Portland building because I live in Portland. But, this reminds me of the kinds of buildings that we would see downtown. It might be residential with some commercial at the bottom. Yeah, really, really Portland-looking building to me.
Has the bat signal on there as well?
I missed the bat signal. Oh, they've got it on their,
right
on their patio.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I guess it's Gotham. I guess Gotham buildings look like Portland buildings.
I mean, that might just be a fun little detail that they threw on a Portland building. Is that a Beatles reference up top there on this building?
I think so. The rooftop concert. I'm trying to decide if those minifigures look like Beatles. Late Beatles, maybe. Huh. That's cute. I like it. What does it say? Oh, yeah. 3 Savile Row. I'm sure that's a Beatles reference.
And then a giant modular stacked on top of each other several times.
Yeah, that's an official set, right? That they've taken a bunch of copies or a bunch of, and kind of emulated, making it a much, much taller building.
Mm-hmm. So we'll keep going for now then and see what is our next. That finishes Town and Drain. Let's head over to Mixed. So Mixed, as the name would imply, is going to
Star Wars.
Okay, well, this is actually Star Wars on the right, and then we'll get to Mixed. So this is a whole bunch of Star Wars. We can start right here with, this is kind of like, we've seen 1 or 2 in these in the past, but it seems they've really expanded recently.
Yeah, so back in the back, we've got Jake Sadovich's Technic scale pod racer. It's just a custom pod racer that he brought to this convention last year and has shown a couple times since. It inspired me to build I call this the Tangerine Machine, another Technic Fig scale pod racer. And it's just custom. It's not based on any particular pod racer. And then I also have next to that what is this, Construction Fig scale speeder bike for Boba Fett that I call Slave One. I built that in one night for the Rose City Comic Con, but anyway, it seems like I get bogged down with big builds, and I just end up like building something in a night and bringing it.
Your best work is just, right overnight. We should also mention these cool little do not touch signs, which I believe are 3D printed by one of the builders here. I forget which builder did that, but it's custom 3D printed signs to make sure people aren't touching the build.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then we've also got a builder here who's got these are, Canon pod racers. So these are all specific pod racers that you can see in the Phantom Menace film. And some of these, like Sebulba, the orange podracer, and Anakin, the gray and yellow, those have been official sets, but I think he's done a really fantastic job with the details at minifigure scale here.
Especially that one in the back, the Bull's Roar, with like the big kind of tire pieces. And then next to that, here's a little scene, I think from the Solo movie there, which we haven't seen a whole lot of Star Wars builds from the Solo movie. I think with it being one of the less popular Star Wars movies, it hasn't inspired as many builds.
Yeah, I loved it. So comment away.
There we go.
I thought it was great.
Boone can take it.
I don't see the mock card on this one. Oh yeah, it's around the corner.
Yeah,
but before we go around the corner, I want to say I love that they're playing billiards in here.
With a croissant,
He's got a
apparently.
Oh, and right next to that is like the sleeping chambers where the beds slide out of the wall, and you can see he's got like some flags on there to represent blankets. It's funny.
And then all the little rooms, he's got lighting in there. So this was, I think, built by two different builders here. And then excellent rock work on the front and a large army attacking through sort of the forest area here. So a pretty good sized display.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with that one. It's nice.
Next to that is a slightly different take on Scarif, which I think is cool. So you've got the kind of ring at the top with the shuttle coming down. So normally you just see kind of the base islands and the big towers, what everybody's focused on in the past. But this build kind of went micro and then also included the shuttle.
Yeah, there's not really enough. You can't have enough Scarif builds.
Hardcore fans of Beyond the Brick might remember a Scarif build we featured from this show last year that is worth checking out if you haven't, because it's pretty impressive.
Pleasantly minimalistic are
would
the
say
two words that I would use for that build.
I agree. In the background, we've got the secret Sarlacc Society, which is apparently a whole underground area beneath the Sarlacc pit, which is like where all of the people that have, is it the people that have fallen in the Sarlacc pit
Yeah,
go?
they're going down in there and what? And then they get in line for, is this like a nightclub underneath the pit of Carcoon? Oh boy. Oh, what does it say? Okay, the Sarlacc rests in the sand. Is this yours? Oh, do you know about it?
Yeah, one of the kids who built it was, it's motorized. Let me see if it turns
Oh, so it even has like motorized functions as well.
Let me see if I can turn it on for you.
Okay, I'm going to read the sign. The secret Sarlacc Society. The Sarlacc rests in the sand, buried except for its massive mouth. It sits on the desert planet Tatooine as it awaits its next visitor. The 1,000-year digestive adventure begins. But it looks like they're having a lot of fun on their way to peril.
Right. I guess it ends badly, but until then, enjoy it. Yeah, it's a very different take on what most people, I think, thought happened when you fell in the pit.
I don't have the remote.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, there's also like a light up feature as well. Like it gets really colorful.
Yeah, it does light up.
Yeah, you might want to come back and check it out later if you get a chance.
So then we've got a couple more smaller Star Wars layouts here. You can see some of the iconic Star Wars ships. And then next to that, the giant Death Star hangar bay that has the Millennium Falcon in it here. So,
Those points if you can name.
yes.
On the side, little Easter egg.
Okay.
Knights of the Old Republic. You've got Darth Revan, T3M4, Bastila Shan, and Jolie Bendo from the Knights of the Old Republic games.
There you go. You get the true fans get that going there. And then another giant Millennium Falcon build here. I got the nice mirror so you can see underneath it. Always a cool effect. Next to that is the Resolute, big Star Wars ship. And then I believe this whole next section is all sections of the same Star Wars ship. So the mock card says it's a Guardian class light customs cruiser. And so basically these would all stack on top of each other and turn into the the ship that you see here. So hopefully we'll definitely do our best to get a more in-depth video on that and kind of show how it all comes together, because it certainly looks very large and impressive, and I think it would be cool to see that. And then you've got dinner at Vader's. So this is kind of Darth Vader's house with the kitchen, living room area, all of the different Star Wars characters enjoying themselves. And then the back there, Jawa's prize, walking pneumatic AT-AT. So the Jawas have kind of added a few details to it there. And then you got a drop ship, a whole bunch going on. This Fabuland, I always love Fabuland inspired builds because of the colors and the crazy characters. And then a Ferris wheel that's very nicely Star Wars themed, very, very Hoth themed, lots of snow. You can see all the characters lined up there. Next to that is Newt's suitcase. So this was a build, I think if you saw our video from BrickCon this year, I believe we showed this as well. So this is all brick built. So the top, the lid is brick built, the whole bottom is brick built, and then everything inside, which is just really amazing. So many different details inside here. Definitely lots to check out. I love the tree and the red roof technique with the small tiles to create the overlapping roof. And then next to that, we've got the Elf Sprite Cottage. Really cool, a couple of like flower out front, and then the sort of mushroom looking houses that the elves live in. Just creates a very like mythical, whimsical world. And Jake Sadovich's build, which we have a more in-depth video posted on the channel if you want to check that out. This is he's got his Galador characters out front there taking their selfie in front of his Saddle Bricks biplane there. So I think at that point we're going to call it a night for tonight and then pick back up tomorrow. And we're back. Welcome back, everyone, for part 2, the long-anticipated sequel to part 1 of our Bricks Cascade 2019 tour. I'm back with Boone Langston once again.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
We're super hyped to be bringing you the completed journey through Bricks Cascade. So we're back in the mixed section here, and John is showing a few small builds. This one right here is particularly wonderful. It's the wrong side of Heart Lake. Have you seen that, Boone?
No.
I like the red mohawk.
They've got like red bandanas on their head, and then the fourth girl has a red mohawk. Wonderful.
Yes, the fish in the like trash can is always a nice touch there. And then this antique fire engine, which appears to be, judging by that little card next to it, part of the AFOL designer program, so you should be able to go support that right now. Do you have anything you'd like to share about this, Boone?
Oh, I designed it.
Okay.
And it means a lot to me, and it would mean so much to me and my little children that you would go and support this fire engine. It's limited time. Only 2,500 are going to sell, and you could be one of those people.
Support Boone's little children.
www.bricklink.com.
That's right. And then there's like a little banner thing at the top that like rolls through every once in a while, and you can click on it, and you're like, support the projects.
Yeah.
And then you know what the best part of that page is?
What?
There's two Beyond the Brick videos at the top of the page.
Oh yeah, fantastic. So you can support Beyond the Brick and Bricklink and Boone Langston, and really any of the designers that you choose to support, whether it's me for my fire engine or any of the other designs, you're helping, make a designer's dream come true. So
No, and there's tons of awesome builds, so definitely go check it out. Yeah, it's really cool. And if you haven't, check out the other videos we've made about the ADP on the channel, because there's lots of in-depth, really cool stuff going on there. Then we've got Jason's long train here, which is really, really awesome. Perry Wang's wife, shout out to her first ever, I believe, convention display, if I'm not mistaken.
this is one of the best titles for a mock I've ever seen. The title of this mock is My Wife Karen Definitely Built This. So I just think that's hilarious.
Next to that, we have this like underwater coral scene. And you can see the builder standing behind there right now, the wonderfully talented builder that brought this. There's like even a light on top to give that underwater effect, which is super sweet. Do you want to give us a brief overview of what this build is?
So yeah, I've been wanting to build a coral reef since I was 8 years old, and about 2 years ago, I was looking at droid arms, and I was like, that's the start of my hard coral reef right there, the staghorn coral, and it just went from there, and just looking for cool pieces and new ways to build a coral reef. I'm a marine biologist. I teach marine biology, so it was a natural fit for me.
Thank you. Well, it turned out great. We'll make sure to come back and get a more in-depth video later as well. So thank you. And then if we keep moving down around that, what do we have here?
Yeah, this Childhood Dreams, we saw this at Brick Con, so it's just kind of a neat thing where a little boy's room there and all the things he imagines and plays with, and then you kind of see it, in a larger scale in his imagination as he sort of plays out his dreams there. I like this rocket ship. This is neat. We Are Going to Space by Kevin Huck. I like it.
It reminds me of the one you had in the, what was the display called? With your space display with the spaceman?
Yeah, we called that Brick Rogers. Yeah.
It reminds me of that.
Yeah, I like it. It looks fun. It's like kids building a rocket ship in the backyard. It's kind of fun.
Next to that, we have this custom Lego pop-up book by Grant Davis, which is just an excellent model. They should probably consider turning that into a set at some point because I think it deserves it. In the back there's a puppet. Have you seen that in action, Boone? It's very cool. He's got all the strings attached and moves the arms and the legs.
I've only barely seen it. I saw the builder, kind of manipulating it just a little bit. I haven't seen it sort of to its full extent, but it certainly looks really wonderful.
And then around the corner, you got the black cloth down, some smaller builds. Nice little details there. And then another kind of underwater fish build. That big white fish in the middle actually moves, so there's like some movement in that build. Next to that, we've got the Shining hotel maze. Very smooth, lots of tiles, which is always cool. And then the Wastelands here, which seems like it should be in like the post-apocalyptic section.
Yeah, it would have looked good over there with that stuff, but looks good here in Mix as well. And it's right next to a really interesting thing here. We've got a rocket. Oh, I'm being called. I just won something. I'll be back.
Sorry, Boone is too busy winning awards to do the tour any longer. He's become too big for Beyond the Brick, so we just have to let him go and achieve his true potential. I guess that means I'm just left to do it by myself. But, shout out to Boone. We wish him the best in all his future career. This green space, as this build is called by Rick Vogt, is really unique and impressive. It's one of those builds that really stands out as different and creative. Are you done winning all your awards yet, Boone?
I think so. Well, here, I just won a minifigure from the Lego Movie 2. It's really been exciting having Nico Voss here, and he's just ran this little game with a Queen whatever wannabe build, and
It's a lot of fun.
it was, and now he's giving out awards. And okay, what I wanted to say about this is I don't get it, but I love it. Maybe in a way that nothing else here kind of strikes me, but
It's like you immediately, are just drawn to it, and you don't know why. Because there's like the mailbox, and then like this lattice rocket ship thing that doesn't, and there's like gnomes or elves down there. So I mean, it doesn't totally make sense, but it just really captures your attention, and it's so well done.
yeah, and the watering hose is coming out of the mailbox.
And then the USA and flowers down the side. Shout out to Rick for a unique build.
Yeah, great job, Rick. Thank you.
So I believe that brings us to the end here. We've done all of these previously in part 1, so we will move over this way and continue on to this section of Town and Train, which is actually a lot of Western and other stuff, but it's still under Town and Train. So let's start right here. I think we have a builder that did some of this. So you want to give us the 30-second overview of what we have here?
30-second overview. 30-second overview. It's a Western collaborative, about 8 builders. We have some plateaus called flat irons. We have a nice mashup Western train, and we have the Bricklink saloon on the corner of Main Street that you can now order on Bricklink.
We were just talking about Boone's fire truck there, so this is another one of the builds you can support there.
You can support this, and I highly suggest going and supporting it. You won't be able to get it much longer.
Look at how beautiful it looks within the layout.
It is beautiful. It's a modular building. It fit right in there. It sits, and it's the dark blue, the tan, the brown. It's gorgeous. Go buy it.
Thank you. We'll keep moving this way then. Around the corner, you've got some more Westerns. So this is all kind of like one giant Western display. You've got the sort of Native American meeting out here with the nice rock facade in the background. Then you've got a trader's post. With all the Western minifigs. You got like a mix of the newer stuff with some of the old classic robbers there, which I like. And like the red and black shirts. Always loved those. The Palisade Fort. Shout out to Fort Legorado. The greatest of all time. This is the first time I've seen the white and blue used for the roofs like that, which is like the uniform colors. Have you seen that before?
Oh no, that's interesting. I haven't seen that before. What were there roof colors in the original set? Was it just brown?
I think it was just like brown or black or something basic. I don't remember it being like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Nice.
Next to that is a Westworld layout. So this is we'll definitely have a more in-depth video on this. We talked with Kelly, the builder of this, at length, and so if you're a fan of the TV show, I'm sure you'll recognize a lot of the buildings and characters here. She pointed all of them out. But yeah, it just continues the Western theme nicely while also tying into the pop culture aspect from the TV show.
One of the things that I think is cool about this build, like maybe John, if you stand back here and take the right angle, the brick and slope built, mountain here sort of blends into that backdrop back there, and I just thought that was kind of a neat thing. Yeah, just like that. I sort of caught my eye from across the room earlier, and I just thought that was a neat kind of thing with this.
I think it was her first time like train building, so it turned out nice. Next to that, we have the Jurassic Park layout with like every dinosaur ever made almost. It seems like there's just a crazy variety here. Another really cool train running on this display with the classic like Jurassic Park colors.
Yeah, I love this. It looks like, the Ford Explorer color scheme from the 90s film, the original Jurassic Park movie. This was a neat little collab by the Olsen brothers. But
the Olsen twins is their name.
Oh yeah, the Olsen twins, and of course Bob, donated all of his. I believe every one of the dinosaurs in this belongs to Bob, and then James Ritzman had something to do with it.
Oh, he built like the fences and the gate. They said.
Yeah.
So lots of good builders involved. And then I think a last minute addition was this whole kind of cage area in the back there, which they just kind of have been working on over the last couple of days. Wasn't really planned out, but they thought, why not add to it? They had some open space. And then here we've got the little engine that could, based on the book there, and using some Jack Stone minifigs in there. You don't see those out in the wild real often. But I love the colors of the trains.
Yeah, they actually did a really good job matching that blue engine to the shape and color scheme of the one from the book. That's nice.
Big train station, train depot. Round the corner to
the After Dark
nice
event is
engine room.
Now-ish. So please
And
to A105, 106.
Then the whole like rundown kind of town here and everything. So you've got a nice little train car there as well. What else is there? So I like how it goes from like the very old gray section and then on the left gets nice and green and beautiful with the trees and all of that.
Ooh, that's a neat little red phone booth.
Yes.
I like that. Yeah, there's a couple of them in there. Oh, look at that that fire engine back there. Is that a... I wonder, is that a Mach? I like that. I'm all about... I didn't used to be interested in fire engines, but now after like all the time I've spent with my design, I'm like, all I see are fire engines now.
What was it that got you interested in doing the fire engine?
My wife's grandfather was the fire chief in his town, and a number of years before he passed, I built him a wooden replica of the first fire engine that his department had in the early 1900s. And when the ADP program started, I think probably about a week after we went to the meeting in Seattle at BrickCon, I was just trying to think, okay, what am I going to do? I was amped up to do the program, but I didn't know what. I didn't have an idea that was compelling, and we were up at his house, which is kind of just a family vacation house now, and that model that I had built for him out of wood was there, and I looked at that and I said, I think maybe that's the idea I'm going to start with. I don't know if it's the idea that I'm going to stick with or really submit, but I'm at least going to start just for the sake of starting, and that's where I started, and that's the model that got picked. So
it's impressive. Good work. Congratulations on that. This display right here is really cool. So this is another one where we'll have a much more in-depth video on it with the two builders that worked on this. The thing I like about this is the way that they took the physical build and then made the whole comic out of it here at the bottom. So they took photographs from different sections of the layout and turned it into comics here that kind of tell the story of what's happening with the different characters here. So I think that's a really cool idea to really bring the story to life, sort of. And then the builds are all excellent as well. The use of masonry bricks, kind of this 1920s city effect.
Yeah, I love the vehicles in this build. They just did a really fantastic job nailing this era of cars. And then the signage that they've created, like particularly this McKee & Sons, how they've just really nailed the sand green to match the trim in the rest of the building there. It's just a really slick looking sign, and those are sprinkled all over this Mach here.
Yeah, that was John and Kat Harris that did that, and really excellent work. So that finishes out that section of Town and Train. Now we'll head on down here to kind of superheroes, cosplay, pop culture, a whole big section of all sorts of cool stuff down here. And we'll start with this layout, which is the layer of the Calendar Man. So that's why you see all the Lego calendars at the top there. Calendar Man, maybe one of the lesser known villains.
Yeah, I think this is hilarious. And I'm pretty sure that the calendar at the top is sort of either exactly the same or pretty darn close to like kind of an official Lego set calendar, correct?
I believe it is. Yeah, I think you're right.
And so he's collected all those, and each one of those little areas sort of represents someone that's, I think, probably against their will being, made to act out the famous scenes of that month. I think it's funny that there's nobody in Thanksgiving. Like they're probably in one of these jail cells over here, like getting ready to learn how to be thankful.
It's truly an awful place to be.
Oh.
Behind that, we've got all these superhero symbols here, which I think we've seen before at different conventions. And then some smaller sort of vignettes, the Superhero Play Day and the Ninja Turtles to the right of that. I like this just tiny build of Superman seeing a giant version of himself.
In a mirror, like he's looking in a mirror
like
and
a
he
fun
sees
house
the Duplo. That's wonderful. Oh man, I love any use of Duplo is great in my book.
That's right. We'll see in a little bit here. We'll see some great use of Duplo in the Batman theme. So this is the Avengers Tower House Party, and so you get all of the kind of iconic Avengers characters in there. I love the way they did the glass tables with kind of building sideways to create that effect. And then you've got the DC villain prison, chess set. Got a couple builders hard at work back here. You guys finishing up some builds?
And sorting.
Sorting.
Oh yeah, turn that on.
We definitely will stop by tomorrow and do a more in-depth video, but do you want to give a quick overview of what this is?
Just Super Mario Brothers in its classic form on a classic TV, as it should be. Just the inspiration was just some of the pieces I got and how I wanted to put it together. So lots of fun stuff to bring people back and give them some memories of growing up a long time ago.
And it seems every time I walk by, it seems to be running well. Has it kept going?
It's been very smooth. I had to do one quick rebuild for the drive gears, but other than that, it's been solid all weekend. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, we'll definitely stop by tomorrow and get some more detail on that. And then here is, I'm going to assume this is a Pokemon display.
Yeah, I recognize a few there. We got like Charizard in the middle and whatever Squirtle's evolved form is.
I gave up on ever learning anything about Pokemon many years ago, so at this point it's just too much.
Yeah, those I named the only two that I know.
A series of Harry Potter vignettes, which create different iconic scenes here. Some really great, parts usages and things. There's even like the writing on the wall there and stuff. So a lot of cool stuff packed into some small scenes.
Okay, this next thing is one of my favorite things. It's it's the carriage in between the Bobatons. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing it correctly, but this is from Harry Potter lore. And I first saw this carriage, I think on Instagram, from Catherine Harris, and I commented and I said, "Oh my gosh, I just love gold." And I think her usage of like those two blues in there with all that gold is just a really neat looking thing.
Yeah. No, she has, in a minute we'll see her much larger layout here, but lots of cool Harry Potter builds she's done. So here we have the second, which I think we showed a similar suitcase to this earlier where the whole suitcase was brick built. So this one is in like an actual suitcase, real suitcase, but then all the stuff inside is brick built. So you get all the details there, kind of the wavy wooden road and everything inside there. Some more excellent work. Blair Archer's Alien Xenomorph, which we have a video on the channel if you want to learn more about that. So like the crazy connections and stuff he has in there are just amazing. Really, really impressive stuff. And then we have a wardrobe to Narnia. Is this your build here? Okay, cool. So we have the builder. If you don't mind just sharing for a minute like a little bit about this and what it is.
Well, of course, as you say, this is the wardrobe to Narnia. I built this just totally freehand, no pre-designing or anything. I started with just a picture of the wardrobe from the movie, and that was my inspiration. Lots of building, tear down, rebuilding to get where I'm at, to finish it. It is all Lego, including the capes you see inside for the clothing, because they come from the big buildable figures. And of course, as we say, no glue. I have to remind people of that, because there's,
Exactly.
Any
And
questions?
this thing's so large. What's it like when you bring it to the show? Does it break down for transport?
Early on, I knew I had to be able to move it, so I actually designed breakdown into it as I built it.
Very good idea.
Top comes off, then I can take pins out, take these side panels off, and just break it down that way into 8 or 10 chunks and transport it.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. It's a really great build.
My wife and I just finished reading the first book to our 7-year-old. 3 days ago we finished, and so I have a much newer appreciation for this build. Really, really wonderful.
Excellent work. Keep it up. Thank you. There's a little Hunger Games build next to that, and then I'm not sure. This looks like some kind of art, is like a recreation of like music videos or something here, possibly. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I think it is some music videos. Here we've got test pattern. Is this like so I think that,
Sort of a collaboration.
Okay.
It didn't go very far. I didn't do it, but I participated.
some kind of a collaboration that stalled out before it completed.
Right. People were supposed to build little TVs and put a scene inside.
I like the concept. It's sort of like, you remember when you used to walk into like Montgomery Ward and there'd be a huge stack of TVs, and they'd all be playing either the same thing or they'd all be playing different things. That's neat. I hope that
Star Trek in
continues
this
future.
test pattern.
Yeah. Well, maybe it'll pick up some other year. You never know. Next to that, we've got some kind of large flying vehicle. And then a couple of wonderful Indiana Jones scenes, particularly the one in the back there, which is a bunch of motorized stuff in there. Really, really impressive. Everything they were, like the water moves and a whole bunch of the different parts of like the rock move as well. So that's so much cool stuff in there. Definitely we'll have to come back for a more in-depth video there. And then on the right, we have the Coraline's house, a build we featured. Definitely want to give a shout out to Holly Webster and her Ideas project here. So if you have not supported that on Ideas yet, it's up there. If you're a fan of Coraline or just cool Lego houses in general, you should go support that. Got some brick heads on around the corner here. And then this build from Uncharted 2, Among Thieves, which is what the mock card says. So it's like a train hanging off a cliff. You don't see that very often. The train builders, I don't think, do that.
That's really cool. Look at that. And it's like he's hanging off a bent piece of trim on the side of the train. I really love the next one here, Jurassic Jeeps. That's one of my favorite, I have a real strong appreciation for, vehicles of cinema, right? Mm-hmm. And just love that gray and red Jeep from the original Jurassic Park movie with the Jurassic Park logos on there. This is nice.
Kind of running behind here, we have this whole long Mario layout, which is another excellent Mario Nintendo-inspired build back there.
Yeah, and I also want to touch too here again on Molly Patton's. These are all like, I think mostly Fisher-Price builds. I guess some of them aren't, but a lot of them are. And some of these are toys that I remember, and she says this, random things from my childhood. And it's that to me as well. Like that one right there is the Fisher-Price family house, the little people and the school over there. Just really awesome builds representing other toys, from 70s, 80s. Neat stuff.
I hope the one on the right isn't from her childhood. And then we'll move on to Dave Shefsick's Wonderland Tea Party. So he's got lots of I love Lego food pieces. Any build that incorporates those with all the Lego food laid out on the table there is always one of my favorites. And then coming around, this texture air one is like kind of a cool building pattern there. I guess the outside of the building didn't really load properly, so now it's just stuck.
That's neat. I want to point out Mushu back there. That's from Kalen Bergeron. He's one of the employees at one of our local bricks and minifigs, and he built his own original dragon that's really fantastic. It's over in another theme. I think we may have seen it. And his sister told him that she thought it looked like Mushu from Disney's Mulan, and so he went ahead and built Mushu, and I just think it's a really fantastic representation of that character.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like he got a trophy as well from the show. So shout out there. Got a Golden Compass build. Couple Bumblebee. And there's another Jurassic Park. Got Jason Voorhees' shack. And then this whole area right here is what we mentioned earlier with Kat Harris's whole Diagon Alley layout. So she has all of these incredibly detailed buildings. We had a video of this in Brick Fair, Virginia last year that's on the channel. So if you want to see inside all of these crazy buildings, definitely check that video out because there's so much cool stuff in there. She put so much time and thought into this. And one thing I love about this, if you look down, there's like this tape on the floor and stuff. So she creates this whole area or at the table there where she will like set a building down and take the public through it building by building. And so she really interacts well with the public as they come by, and so they can see inside all of these buildings.
Next, we've got a little display here from Nico Voss. He, had a hand in designing the Queen whatever Wanabe set. He's been here this weekend. It's been really fantastic kind of getting to know him a little bit, as well as, a couple of the other employees that have attended from Lego this week. I feel like it's just added just a little extra energy to the weekend. It's really been fun to watch. And so here he's got a lot of examples of sets that they experimented with in the process of developing this set, as well as some of the items that you can build from the set that was actually produced.
Yeah, gave an excellent presentation on like the 3 years it took him to reach the final character that you see in the movie. So much time and thought went into all of that. And yeah, it's definitely great when Lego can send out designers and like Stuart from the Lego house, Jan Byers here. So it's great when different representatives from Lego come to the convention and really make the fans feel like they have a voice in the company. Next, we've got cosplay section, which has this year several displays of like Lego weapons and swords on display. Some of these quite large. And I think pretty much all of them, the builders like pick up, carry around, and let the public handle.
Yeah, I think John's got the camera on my ray blasters there. This is something I'm really interested in, and I just have not been able to get myself to build any more. So I guess I'd invite you to comment comment in the comments and let me know what color of ray gun you want to see next, and maybe that'll give me a little inspiration to crank out another one.
That's right. Give Boone good ideas. He needs it.
Oh, and it was great having Cole back. Cole has been out of this convention for a few years due to school, and he's got some of these great swords and lightsabers. He's just a real, kind of joyful guy all the time, and he lets every single kid that wants to come by and handle these mocks, they get that opportunity, and he's just he does a really wonderful job standing here and really engaging the crowd with his mocks.
That's something I love when builders do, is like when they stand there and really engage with the public well. You notice it when you walk around and consistently see people doing that. I think that's really impressive that they take the time and are willing to do that. So this is all a Batcave layout, right?
Yeah, this is mostly Ryan Zagalo. I have a couple pieces in this build. He did the vehicle rotisserie. He did the costume, the batsuit conveyor. He took the Joker's fun. It's not Joker's Fun House, but the Joker Manor. And he basically took that official set and removed all the Joker stuff and kind of turned it back into Wayne Manor. And then he's got a lot of official sets here represented in, the Batmobiles and like the rocket ship there. But he's also built a number of sort of original things. And I think the two pirate ships, there's a big one and then a little one. I think those are kind of fun.
Definite shout out to the cannon work on that pirate ship. I just love it. I mean, that's beautiful right there.
And then I built this Batwing for this mock in collaboration with Ryan, and then I also sort of developed this Bat computer thing here, where I basically just built a mock around a computer monitor, and then used my video editing software to composite all this, kind of what I thought might be on the Bat computer. And then just to the right of that is sort of what has traditionally been seen in a lot of the Batman comic books. This is the trophy room. So there's a giant Joker card, a giant penny, and the robot dinosaur. So we actually kind of, in my mind, when I was conveying the idea to Ryan, I almost imagined it being like the Technic dinosaur that's up on the top floor of the Lego house. So he wanted to use the head and legs and tail of a regular Lego dinosaur because it's sort of difficult to convey that in this scale. But then he's got the rest of it sort of built out of Technic there, and I think he sort of drew upon that reference when he built the dinosaur.
Next to that is some more great Duplo here. What do you think of this one? Would you take this one home with you?
Yeah, I would take this home with me, and I will take this home with me because I built it. This was something I built for Rose City Comic Con last year, and took it to BrickCon, and brought it here, and won an honorable mention here in Superheroes. It's just a lot of fun. My 3-year-old, she just turned 4-year-old. She actually loves to play with this thing. I think she finds it compelling. And one of my favorite things about this build is that the Alfred standing up there by Wayne Manor has the body of the Sir Topham Hatt, Duplo figure, and the head of just sort of a grandpa fix-it man sort of Duplo figure. And the Duplo figures are actually not terribly easy to take apart, to swap pieces, but Brian D'Agostine published a blog article a number of years ago where he explains exactly how to do it, and I was really pleased to kind of put together a figure that I felt represents Alfred well.
Yeah, I mean, what's not to love? It's Duplo, it's Batman. I mean, every kid's dream right there. Next to that is a whole bunch of different scenes and vignettes with Batman characters and villains and all their kind of different environments.
Yeah, it's called the Arkham Halfway House, Year 2. So I think this is representing, some DC villains in rehabilitation, perhaps.
Hopefully. Here is Spider-Man Far From Home trailer scene. So they're kind of basing this just off the trailer right now. Taking a little shot from there. Some small little scenes there, and then Lego Batman video game with the TT games there. And Thor's arrival on the bridge. You got all the skeletons. I like the use of the white pieces coming down from the top to kind of signal like the lightning as he came down on the bridge there. And the last couple builds in this area, this is Crisis on Infinite Base Plates. So this is, they have a whole long description on these cards here of what's happening. Different little scenes. It looks like there's Green Army men over there. You've got all of the villains fighting in the ring. And then Guardians of the Galaxy versus the Suicide Squad build in the back. So I think that finishes out this whole rectangle. Let's walk down to the end there and make sure we just kind of keep going around in the right order. So starting in this section with Castle and Pirate, we've got this giant collab, the Wheel of Time. And this is another one we'll have a much more in-depth video that you should look for on the channel. But if you're a fan of the book series, there's lots of details there and lots of good stuff to check out. Then we've got the Forging of the Rings. So this is like a Lord of the Rings scene there. Done by Timothy Shortell. Excellent rock work. And we've got the Awakening.
Here's another A-fold design program. This is from Jake Sadovich. Folks, if you have the Ship in a Bottle, this is the same designer. You're going to want to get this and set it right on the shelf next to the Ship in a Bottle. Go fund him, please.
Yes, so definitely, once again, check out that site. Age of Empires 2 Chinese Castle. Shout out to my favorite childhood video game right there. I always love seeing little Lego builds that represent the scenes from the game. Grant Davis's Mountaintop Shrine, which I believe you have a video with him from BrickCon where he tips that upside down.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Go check it out.
And the walls of Stone Harrow. Some amazing roof and like tile work on the walls there.
And then we've got Jake's original design that inspired the Ship in a Bottle Lego idea set.
Death's Tower here by Robert has not only an excellent build, but a cool little kind of written part that goes along with it, and then the whole like custom backdrop as well.
A really wonderful use of yellowed brick here in this castle. Makes it look, I don't know, I think it looks really cool. Just a neat, natural looking, differentiation between, from brick to brick.
It gives that weathered brick look to it. Here's a nice elves-inspired roller coaster. And little hobbit scene. Hobbits in there. An attack, basically a large medieval. You've got like trolls and all sorts of stuff going on. In there, some of the medieval market building type sets, and then the big castle up on the hill. Another little elves layout. Black Pearl and Queen Anne's Revenge, some iconic ships here. It looks like they've greatly, these aren't the stock models from Lego.
Yeah, and I love these models where they capture the cannon fires, in a still frame there with the smoke and the cannonball, screaming across toward the other ship. I always think that's a real neat effect.
Mm-hmm. Great little Vietnam War scene there. Search and destroy mission. And then this is more of the battle stuff here, so you get more into sort of the military. This is the Dark Gate battle. You get some like military mechs in the back. I love the splash effect on this one. So like the vehicle going into the water and all of the clear pieces coming up at you. I think that's a really great use of those pieces. And then on the right here, I think you've actually got some motorized tanks, right?
Yeah, this is Travis Wagner. He's a young guy from Vancouver, Washington, and he builds just some really, I think, fantastic tanks. And this Panther here is remote controlled, and he kind of has been working on that for a while, and he got it figured out just in time for the convention.
Got a nice little honorable mention trophy there with the plane. World War II build going across the bridge. And kind of a river battle. Crazy castle. Some aircraft. Lots of fire coming out of all of the engines. This is Poland versus Germany in the year 2053. It's a nice futuristic take on some battles there.
We've got Jake Sadovich's Trident, which I think we've seen before. Just a really wonderful build. Just the stuff he does blows me away all the time. And right in front of it are a couple little planes from Nathan DeCastro. This is his first convention. I think I mentioned his stuff over in space, and I'm really pleased to see what this guy turned up with.
As we round the corner, we've got the Convair B-36 Peacemaker. So one thing I love about this, not only is it a big giant plane, but it's also got an interior with details. So that's always neat when the builders can actually take it apart like that. You've got submarine, the F-35B, lots of tools and math going on there. Then you've got this Warhammer 40K build, which I think we've shown a couple times in the past, but it's always great with the trench work and everything. This large build here, almost, it's got the nice hill, beach landing and everything going on. Santa Clara Joint Command Facility. So you've got some guys breaking in, coming over the wire. Things are going down there. And then here's a couple of builds by Doug Hughes. We've shown in the past with his cool kind of white and orange color scheme. And then kind of a regular theme at this show now is G.I. Joe. There's always some new kind of G.I. Joe collaborative build with a different scene, and then always kind of the mosaic in the back there.
Yeah, I love the cobra on the big red cobra on the front of this castle here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool to see them kind of expand on this scene and stick with kind of a similar thing each year. So now we'll come over to the Bionicle slash kind of classic section. And so here you can see a whole bunch of different Bionicle figures. One thing that sticks out is the Zodiac rooster there. So in like the midst of all the black, you get the cool little rooster build. This guy here is really cool with like the orange pieces on the coat.
I love those wings back there, all that gray. Really interesting pieces in the way they put them together. Very organic looking.
Here you get some nice like pink. And then some of these bigger characters behind here are always fun to look at, especially with like the gold and green and some really nice color mixtures.
That gold and green guy reminds me of a villain from the old Power Rangers, like the early 90s Power Rangers. I don't know. That just reminds. I know that's not what it is, but it reminds me of that for some reason. I love the Boba Fett slave one made completely out of Bionicle pieces. Oh, and the Millennium Falcon right next to it. It's fun stuff.
Lenticular mosaic here. Get all the cheese slope action going on. There's the Bionicle guy sitting down reading there. It's pretty cool. Very contemplative build. Water scene in front here.
I like the aqua sharks there. It reminds me of my childhood.
And then now this is the classic section. So this is kind of just all official sets that have been come out over the years basically and are on display to look at. So we'll move through this pretty quickly since this is all stuff that a lot of people would be familiar with for the most part.
I do like what is it called? Motorsports Speedway. This is, not an official set, but it is, based on and maybe, kind of incorporates some official sets. But I think it's just a beautiful, layout that they've done here.
And then here's all of the healthcare this basically every healthcare set they've ever released. The medical helicopters, a whole bunch of classic space and other space themes. The famous moon raised base plates, iconic part. Yeah.
One of my favorite sets is back there, the Space Police 2 with those two green open cockpits. That's called I think the Galactic Mediator. I could be wrong, but had that as a kid. Absolutely loved it. A lot of people hate it, but...
What year was that from?
Oh, boy. I want to say 92, maybe. Okay. Somewhere in there. 91, 92, 93, something like that.
And then you get a whole, street scene, the bike parade, all different characters on bikes. And... then if we finish out with the classic sets, just a little bit more Bionicle. This is Patrick Bigg's section right here with the black cloth. I love the Portland Unipiper in the back there.
Yeah, so this is actually a guy who really rides around Portland in a kilt with a Darth Vader mask on a unicycle, playing bagpipes that shoot flames out the top. That's not a joke. That's a real guy who actually does all of that. And Patrick has done a beautiful job executing the Unipiper exactly as you would see him in real life. And he wears combat boots. He's just done a really fantastic job there.
Patrick has some of his work in the Masterpiece Gallery in the Lego House in Billund right now as well. Some awesome stuff on display there. So yeah, it's always great to see his work. And then you see some more Bionicle builds. This big black creature is quite nice here. Then the guys on the guitar and the drums back there as well. A couple of the standout builds in that area. So that finishes out that section. We'll move over to here architecture and down to some microscale and Technic in a bit. So this is kitchens, which I think is something the builders had for several years and it appears to be expanding on. I know I've seen some of those before, but I think some of these are new as well. So kind of capturing a number of different decades of kitchen styles.
Yeah, I love that one from 1972. The floor is perfect. If you can kind of imagine the linoleum that's just really well executed with those flower pieces and just wonderful colors.
You look at all of them and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I can kind of get that. And then you look at 1972 and you're like, something went wrong there.
And it's like, yes, that was a real thing. And absolutely it was awful. and somehow wonderful at the same time, right? To look back on that.
Yeah. This building in the back, Pullman Administration Building, kind of really nice facade building with all of those bricks. Got a blacksmith shop. The stack tiles make for great roof. Mike Johnson's Bob's Burgers there, which I believe he said actually has a detailed interior as well. And then here is a couple of builds that go together. So this is Eric Mattson, who, if you've seen our Bricks Cascade coverage in the past, has done some massive builds of Multnomah Falls and Mount Hood. So this is his current house on the left that John's showing, and then this giant build on the right is what they're remodeling it into. And he basically built this to talk to the architect and be like, hey, will this work here, and figure it out with his wife and family. So he's rebuilt lots of stuff, and it was really amazing and fascinating talking to him about how it all came together. Definitely look for a more in-depth video on that one as well.
Yeah, it's been great to have Eric back. He's brought some really massive, incredible builds in the past, and he wasn't able to be here last year due to a scheduling conflict, and so it's great to see another awesome big build.
For sure. And then this is the Twins Joke Shop. So this is Eric Law who built this. And cool thing about this is he was actually inspired by Kat Harris's big Harry Potter layout that we showed you earlier. Saw that and was like, I want to do something sort of in that style. And so he built the Twins Joke Shop here. So I always love that when builders can help inspire other, really cool, talented builds like this. We have a Seattle tunnel here, I believe.
Yeah, that's interesting. Is that they're in the process of building that, correct?
That sounds. I feel like they've been talking about building a tunnel in Seattle for a long time. I feel like so that might be true. This is the clock tower from I believe a town in Canada. I like all the tiles that stick out on the side.
This is Kevin's, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Really nice looking build. I love we've got the dark red in there and that dark blue up on the roof. Really beautiful colors together.
And then a bunch of shut down GBC at the moment, which is always sad. You never want to see the GBC not running. It's always so much more impressive when it's actually going. But tomorrow when the public comes back in, they'll kick everything into gear. We'll come back around to Technic then. This yellow tank with all of the gears going on, those are like some old classic Lego gears right there. And then a whole bunch of just crazy shapes that you can make with Technic. And then in the back there, there's like a ride, which is pretty good when it's actually moving. There's people inside there, spins them all around.
And this Chris Gear here, I want to point out this go-kart that he built. It's a large version of a small Technic set that he had in 1982, and he still has the original Technic set. And the large version is remote controlled, and he's got the original set on the trailer, and he was driving around earlier today. It was a lot of fun.
And I think these are all like motorized Lego kits, a lot of these here. And this is some of Victor's work, which he's kind of, I feel like, an icon of like the Technic section at Bricks Cascade. I think every year he always has some great stuff on display.
Yeah, and he just won the Techno Challenge yesterday with, he built this, in like 50 minutes from a little set, he built this walker where you twist the thing and all the legs move and it sort of walks along. It was pretty incredible.
A whole layout here with getting computer stuff going on. And then this whole long section is all of the mall in Washington, D.C. And so you start with the Capitol building at the end and then come on down. And it's actually a work in progress. You can see the far side is still being built. And then it ends with the Washington Monument grounds at the end. There's a whole bunch of tiny lights in here that are super cool and add a lot of great detail as well.
Oh man, that Gringotts back there is fantastic with the street level in the buildings, and then you can drop down below and see the vaults with the the rail cars that sort of go in and twist around. That's fun.
A whole bunch of micro tree designs, kind of giving examples and inspiration. Jason Bond's great Inception, which uses the mirrors to, I think, great effect there.
Yeah, and this can be laid out flat and curled up, so it can be displayed in either position. And I love how he's got a mirror in it, so you sort of see it, and then you see it again, and then you see it again in the mirror, and sort of a play on the Inception.
Yeah. And then you've got, here's Best Micro in theme here for this layout. It's got like the train going by with the windmills. And then you get to the whole big Microcity, which always tons of tiny little details and cool little buildings. This Nexo Corporation's headquarters, that's pretty cool. I like the twist on the Nexo Knights theme there. And the whole water dock areas. Atlantis restored, so it's kind of sticking up above the water there. And then this is, I think, downtown Portland, so I'm sure the locals will recognize a lot of the iconic buildings here.
Yeah, so that one, I think that's in the shot there is the Coin Tower. There's like the Portland building, the courthouse, the current courthouse, and then coming up on like Pioneer Courthouse Square, and the old Pioneer Courthouse and the mall there. Yeah, it's definitely downtown Portland.
You can confirm. Then Ninjago City, which I think this is like a smaller portion of what was a bigger layout at like BrickCon this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that thing at BrickCon was massive.
Yeah. So this is just a few of the builders involved, and though the one at BrickCon, we have a video on that, was just really, really massive and impressive. So definitely check that out. It's a nice little like log cabin house.
Yeah, I think Austin built this for a school project right before he graduated from high school. I remember him showing this to us at a lug meeting almost a year ago. It's really neat. You can take the roof off and look inside.
And we've got some Ninjago action going on there, going up like the icy cliff to the building. And a vampire mansion. I think that brings us back around, finishes out this section. So I think the only section we've got left is this kind of middle train section here. And then there's like a little bit of the mosaics and art at the far end. So we'll check out this area here real quick. There's one of Boone's chilies.
Not my chilies, just the chilies that I enjoy observing.
Of course.
It's like a knife in the back because we don't have chilies in Oregon anymore.
Oh, I forgot. That's why you didn't like it so much, because it just reminds you of the awful times we live in.
Yeah. What's the world coming to?
Exactly. The whole train yard along here.
I really like this one by Kalen. That's a neat building.
And I like the Lego bricks on the train bed there. The use of the brick separators is the top of the train station as well.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Oh, look at the 7-Eleven sign. It's a plate built, and they've done a great job with that. The color scheme, the stripes, the 7. That's cool.
It's great, like Italian restaurant with all the flowers. And we got the concert going on around the corner. A whole big, long, like camping mountain layout.
Yeah, I've watched Alan's campground, develop over the years, and it just keeps getting bigger and better every year he brings it, and it's a little more developed. I think probably for the last 4 or 5 years here at Bricks Cascade.
Down past that, we've got a cornfield, something near and dear to my heart as a resident of Indiana. I really identify with that. Long train yard here. And you got the Union Pacific, some sand green. You then have a split. We definitely need to point out this
circus train thing. This is wonderful. There's a lot of pearl gold on this thing.
There's a lot going on in general here with all the red. You've got all the characters on top there.
We've got some feats of strength in this train car that opens up to a stage show. Oh, just the geometry that they've pulled off with these cars. It's so classic.
Excellent work. No mock cart on that, but shout out to whoever has that on display. And then you get some more kind of general architecture buildings here. In the back, you've got a little baseball diamond.
Another antique fire engine or two.
Mm-hmm. You've got the church out front here as you round the corner. And nice little train round table there.
Yeah, I love the engine that's sitting on that. Really nice looking.
Some more wonderful trains. The hot dog stand there is very nice as well.
With all the workers lined up. I love that.
And then we're back where we started there. So I think then the last section is kind of art, and then the mosaics against the wall at the far end. So we'll head down there, and I believe we've hit everything else up to that. So before they kick us out here for tonight, we'll make sure we can show this to you and make sure you see everything that was on display here at Bricks Cascade. As we walk over there, you'll see to the left there's the system and DUPLO play areas. So this is where a lot of the kids will come and get really hands-on because they don't want the kids touching all the builds. So this is where they can actually get physical with the bricks and not destroy people's builds as they walk around the show. So here in art, we'll just start at the end here and kind of go around the loop real quick. One of the coolest is this Anthony Wilson, who is a builder that came in, I believe, from New Zealand, has this like espresso coffee machine here, which is just amazing with the whole dragon on top. So I think that's the combination is not something you expect to see.
I remember seeing that on Instagram and thinking it was really neat. Here we've got Leonardo da Vinci's Ornithopter by Jake Sadovich. This is on Lego Ideas. Again, this is the designer of the Ship in a Bottle. So feel free to check that out on Ideas and support it.
And then nice little bedroom scene. And a whole bunch of smaller kind of house vignettes. Little coffee shop. Very colorful play school. And if we round the corner, you get this old lady with glasses. Nice cat sculpture. And then coming up top here after Cole's Cheeseburger, we've got the giant Jack and the Beanstalk, which is a build that we covered at BrickCon this year as well. So you can check that video out to see more from that awesome, magnificent build. And then here's a whole bunch of Hamilton musical vignettes. Really, really cool musical. Check it out if you haven't. And then a whole bunch of what is this? Blown up Lego pieces.
Yeah, these are DAG bricks. So this is kind of a scale that Brian D'Agostine developed. And I think probably my favorite one, which I think maybe new to me, is that brown, rock panel piece back there. That's did a really great job executing that.
Nice little creative sign with the glue bottle. A gnome. I love the shovel.
Yeah, and that's from Blair Archer, and the gnome literally has the same mustache that Blair wears. So.
That's a good point. And then Winnie and Tigger there as well. We can give you a quick look. They always have this very large Minecraft character display. So it's a nice backdrop, makes for some great photos with the kids. And then over here we have photography, and so this is something that's continued to grow each year. There's photography talks at the show, and so this is something that I think this photography community within Lego gets bigger and bigger. Kevin Wanner's shot from his Star Wars build is great there. I love that. And keep going down here. Check out some more photos. There's someone's cat that was involved in a photograph. I'm sure the cat was very happy about that.
Yeah, so the theme here at Bricks Cascade is minifigs in motion. The name of that photograph is Minifigs in Meowshin.
There we go. Here's the Bricks Cascade face picture area. You can get your Ninjago face photo. It's mosaics, Jim Morrison mosaic there, Deadpool, Spider-Man. Lots of stuff inspired by movies, TV shows, the Rose City Comic-Con logo. Here is City of Troutdale mosaic. To have a video of this from Brett Hooper as well. So nice little shout out to the Troutdale Build League there. And Amy Adams, and you've got some Vermeer here as well. John Stye's mosaic work is always on point.
And that was the winner of the best mosaic here tonight.
Definitely deserved. So I think that might be it for us. We end with the racetrack to our right here. So I hope everyone appreciated that look at the convention here at Bricks Cascade. Lots of really, really cool stuff. Lots of other things like vendors and stuff that we didn't really show you, just kind of on the outside walls, but focused on the builds.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for watching.
We'll see you soon.